First stumble across something online, like a puzzle or a game, and get totally sucked in.
You start digging deeper and deeper, and you realize it's more than just a game, right? Like there's something else going on beneath the surface.
That's exactly what we're dealing with today, the story of Cicada 3301.
And it's a story that takes us deep into the world of online manipulation, disinformation, even conspiracy theories.
And our guide through this digital labyrinth is a guy named Arturo Tafoya, a digital artist who goes by Lestat online.
Yeah, his story is wild, man. It shows how these online groups, even ones that seem harmless at first, can be used for some pretty dark stuff.
So let's start with the basics. Who is Arturo Tafoya, and what makes him the perfect candidate to fall into Cicada's web?
This guy's story is straight out of a movie. Imagine this. 15 years old, wins an art contest, creates this incredible mural that's still up today. That's Arturo. By 18, he's working as a graphic artist, completely self-taught. And get this, by 20, he's a successful game developer.
Wow, talk about a prodigy. Sounds like the kind of guy who thrives on challenges, on pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. And that's key here. He's drawn to the unknown, the mysterious, even his online handle Lestat. It's from Anne Rice's vampire novels.
So even before Cicada, he's already drawn to the allure of the hidden, the subversive.
Exactly. He was part of this online group called the Society of the Flying Vulture, or SVV.
SVV, what were they into?
They were all about alternate reality games. And what's so fascinating about this whole thing is how it really pulls you into like the underbelly of the internet, you know, this whole world where truth and manipulation are constantly battling it out.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not just talking like online puzzles here. It goes deeper, like way deeper. Think about how narratives can be like weaponized, beliefs can get twisted, and how people can get caught in something so much bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and the guy at the center of it all, our guide through this whole digital maze, Arturo Lestat Tafoya. I mean, come on, artist, programmer, former medical student. Talk about a modern-day Renaissance man. This isn't just some random dude who stumbled into something. Arturo's got this unique blend of creativity and, you know, tech skills that just made him, I don't know, almost like he was made for a group like Cicada 3301.
Exactly. It's like, picture this. You've got the mind of an artist, right? But then you layer on the logic of a programmer and this deep, deep curiosity about everything. That's Arturo. And it's really this potent combo that pulls him deeper and deeper into Cicada 3301.
And Cicada 3301, I mean, for anyone out there who doesn't know, think of them as the internet's ultimate puzzle masters. Like, they were notorious for these insanely difficult puzzles hidden in digital art, music, even like real-world locations.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't just about like cracking codes. These puzzles were steeped in symbolism, cryptography, philosophy. They wanted a certain type of person, someone who could solve complex problems, but also who vibed with their whole ideology. They were all about alternate reality games, ARGs, those elaborate scavenger hunts that blend the online and offline worlds.
Okay, I've heard of those. Some of them can get pretty intense.
Intense is an understatement. SVV's games were notorious. Their grand finale even involved a staged kidnapping that played out online.
Whoa, seriously, that's next level.
Right. And it shows how comfortable Arturo already was with blurring the lines between reality and the game, which becomes super important later on with Cicada.
It's like he was unknowingly preparing for something bigger, something he couldn't have even imagined. So how does this talented game developer go from staged kidnappings to the heart of one of the internet's biggest mysteries?
Enter Cicada 3301. Right. This shadowy online group notorious for posting insanely difficult puzzles online.
Yeah, I remember hearing about them. They were all over the news a few years back. Nobody could figure out who they were or what they wanted.
And that's what made them so fascinating, right? The mystery, the intrigue.
Totally. So how does Arturo get involved? Did he just stumble upon one of their puzzles?
It's more deliberate than that. This is where Thomas Schoenberger comes in.
Schoenberger. Who's that?
He's the enigmatic figure at the heart of Cicada 3301. He reaches out to Arturo directly, having seen his work with SVV, his talent for puzzles and code.
So they were watching him, scouting him out?
Exactly. Cicada wasn't just throwing puzzles out into the void. They were curating a community, seeking out specific skills and mindsets.
Okay, that's a little creepy.
Tell me about it. And Schoenberger, he knew how to recruit. He showers Arturo with praise, telling him he's brilliant, a genius, destined for great things. He even name drops famous people, like Hollywood composer Michael Levine, making the whole thing seem even more legit.
Classic love bombing. Make someone feel special, chosen to gain their trust.
Exactly. And it works. Arturo is drawn in, seduced by the mystery and the promise of belonging to something truly extraordinary. But even then, there are red flags.
Like what?
Schoenberger's all about secrecy, but then they're using Twitter to communicate. Doesn't exactly scream clandestine organization.
Good point. And then there's that whole follow the white rabbit thing.
Right, like they almost wanted to be found to attract a certain type of person, someone who thrives on puzzles, who sees themselves as a seeker of hidden knowledge, someone maybe already prone to a bit of conspiracy thinking.
So Arturo's in creating artwork for this secretive group, riding the high of being part of something exclusive. But then the internet itself starts to change. It's late 2017 and QAnon emerges.
Yeah, and this is where things get really interesting. Because you have this perfect storm brewing online, right? You've got Cicada 3301 with its puzzles and promises of hidden knowledge.
Right.
And then QAnon explodes onto the scene with its cryptic messages and talk of deep state conspiracies.
And it's all happening in the same online spaces, right? Like the same people who are drawn to Cicada are now getting pulled into QAnon.
Exactly. So last time we were talking about how Arturo was starting to see these cracks in Cicada 3301. That whole image of intellectualism was starting to crumble as QAnon seeped in.
Yeah, and right at the heart of it all, this really shady figure, Thomas Schoenberger.
Oh, yeah. Schoenberger, he's like a walking contradiction. Calls himself a homeless genius one minute, then name-dropping Hollywood bigwigs the next. And that's exactly what drew Arturo in that air of mystery.
It's like you're an artist, you're drawn to the unusual, and Schoenberger, he was selling it, really laying it on thick. But like everything else in this story, there's this dark side to Schoenberger. Arturo is this talented artist, right? He's pouring his heart into creating this amazing art for Cicada, really believes in what they're doing.
Right.
And then Schoenberger hits him with this request, like red flag, create a bot army and 30 Twitter accounts.
That's when that whole manipulation thing kicks in. Schoenberger dangles this, like promise of collaboration, working with big-name artists, even introduces Arturo to, these high-ranking Cicada members. And it makes sense, right? These are people who are already primed to see patterns, to look for hidden meanings, to believe that there's more to the story than what we're being told.
It's like they're already primed to believe in something bigger than themselves.
Right, and QAnon gives them that something bigger, that sense of purpose, that feeling of being part of an elite group that's in the know.
So how does Arturo react to all of this? He's already bought into Cicada's whole thing about challenging the system, seeking truth, all that. Does he just jump on the QAnon bandwagon?
It's not that simple. He sees the parallels, right?
Yeah.
Both groups using cryptic language, symbols, this whole air of mystery. But QAnon, it's different. It's more overtly political, more aggressive, more about attacking a specific group of people.
Yeah, QAnon takes that whole us versus them mentality to a whole other level.
Exactly. And that's where things get uncomfortable for Arturo. He starts to see how easily people can be manipulated, how dangerous this kind of rhetoric can be. Remember, this is a guy who values critical thinking, who believes in questioning everything. But QAnon, it's all about blind faith, about shutting down any kind of dissent.
It's the dark side of questioning the status quo, right? Instead of leading to open-mindedness and debate, it leads to this echo chamber of extremism.
And this is where we need to talk about accelerationism.
Accelerationism.
Yeah, it's this radical philosophy that basically says that the only way to create real change is to accelerate the collapse of the existing system. Create chaos, sow discord, and from the ashes, a new world will emerge.
So you're saying that groups like Cicada 3301, even if they weren't intentionally trying to bring down society, might have been playing into the hands of these accelerationist groups?
It's a possibility. By encouraging people to question everything, to distrust authority, they created fertile ground for something like QAnon to take root and spread.
It's a pretty terrifying thought.
It is. And it's not just about ideology. We also have to talk about the way these groups use technology, specifically memetic warfare.
Memetic warfare. Okay, I'm intrigued. Break that down for me.
Basically, it's the weaponization of memes. Think about it. Memes are everywhere, they're shareable, they're often funny, and they can spread like wildfire online. And groups like QAnon are masters at using them to spread their message, to recruit new followers, and to drown out any opposing voices.
It's like propaganda for the internet age.
Exactly. And it's incredibly effective. Look at what happened with Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that he understood the power of memes.
Oh, absolutely. His whole campaign was like one giant meme.
Right, and it worked. He bypassed traditional media, went straight to the people, and created this whole online movement.
So we've got the allure of online puzzles, the rise of conspiracy theories, and the weaponization of rhetoric and memes. It's a recipe for disaster. But there's another layer to this story, something that connects all of this to an even larger, more unsettling ideology.
And that's where things take a truly strange turn. We need to talk about Barbara Marx Hubbard.
Barbara Marx Hubbard. Okay, that name rings a bell, but I can't quite place it. So who is she? Fill me in.
Okay, so Hubbard, she was really big in the New Age movement, like a futurist, always talking about this coming quantum shift in human consciousness.
Okay, I'm not going to lie, that sounds a little out there. What does that have to do with everything we've been talking about? Online puzzles, QAnon, all that.
It's about the ideology, the underlying message. See, Hubbard believed that this whole quantum shift thing wasn't for everyone. She talked about defective seeds holding humanity back.
Defective seeds? That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it gets worse. She actually suggested that these defective seeds needed to be eliminated for humanity to progress.
Whoa, hold on. Now that's just straight up messed up.
It is, and it's scary how this kind of thinking pops up throughout history. But here's the thing, this idea of a select few, the chosen ones, having special knowledge, it's not unique to Hubbard. Think about it, Cicada 3301, QAnon, they both have this element of elitism, right?
Yeah, that's true. They both have this air of exclusivity, like they have access to hidden knowledge that most people don't.
Exactly. And they use that, whether it's true or not, to manipulate people, to control the narrative. It's like they're saying, we know the truth and you don't. Follow us and you'll be saved.
So Arturo, he's stuck in the middle of all this, right? He bought into Cicada's message of free thinking and challenging the system, but now he's seeing how easily that can be twisted into something dangerous.